How you doing, guys? Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. This is Dana from Massillon Investing University. What I want to talk about tonight, and I've been thinking about this, is trying to make sure you guys have the right system when you're going ahead and sending out delinquent tax list mailers or blind mailers, or even basically just dealing with potential motivated sellers in the first place. What it is I'm thinking is the personal connection. I mean, I hear a lot of guys out there that are using answering services. I've used them in the past. I had a couple businesses years ago, and I felt it was more convenient. Time was of the essence, so I had an answering service to provide the catching the calls. Then they'd go ahead and send me a page to an alphanumeric pager. I think the service was good, I really do, but I think there's something lost in that personal connection. So over the years, when I've done most of my mailing and soliciting to potential sellers, whether it's I was calling people directly, sending out mailers, sending out blind mailers, which I've never done much of, but mainly mailers and stuff like that, was I always preferred to actually take the calls myself. And I think what happens with that is, because it's a personal connection, I think people can relate to you more one-on-one. For me, when I've done this business over the years, and especially years ago when we were doing a lot of volume, my personal preference was to try to keep it as personal as possible. I've mentioned in other lessons, I like to keep it streamlined. I like to keep it as simple as possible. But the personal aspect to me is super important. When you get a chance to talk to someone, you're making a relationship. It's the same like I've told you guys before about building up a team, speaking to people in the community, get to know people, go out, shake hands, tell them who you are, what you do. When it goes back to callers, I think it's the same thing. I've met a lot of good people over the years that have called me about property that I solicited to them that they were interested in selling to me. A lot of great conversations. A lot of times they drag on a little too long. You prefer to get off a little earlier, but I enjoy talking to people. As you can tell, I like to talk. I'll tell you a funny scenario that's happened to me over the past, and this happened a few years back, and actually a couple of years also. I was doing a mailer to a particular area, and I know the value of the deal, so I know what the sell price is going to be. I've already got an offer in my head what I'm going to offer these people when they call. And what happens is, generally, I send out 1,000 mailers. I'll usually get about 60 calls back, about 30 yeses, about 10 deals at the price I want to pay. And you're paying, like I said, anywhere from 20 to high-end 40% below the actual retail value of the property. So I'm not trying to get greedy. I like to give them a little money. I'm not trying to get it for nothing by no means, because I always have an exit strategy. Typically, I know where I'm going to sell it. But what's happened in the past is, and surprisingly enough, it's probably happened, and I used to tell my partner years ago when it would happen also, is that people will call me. And the way I'd handle it is they'd call me up, say, "Hi, this is Mrs. Smith. I received a letter from you, and it looks like you're interested in buying my property." So I'd say, "Yeah, how you doing? Thank you for calling. My name's Dana Brown. I'm the gentleman that sent you the letter, and yes, I'm interested in your own property in such and such area." And they'd say, "Yes, I do." And I'd ask them, typically, is that a corner lot or is that an interior lot? Could you tell me a little bit about the property? Is your name on the deed? Are you the only owner on the deed? And so on, just to get some basic information. And then typically what I do is tell them, "Listen, let me give you a call back in a little bit. I get back to the office. I'll check out the details on the property. I just want to look up some information. I get back to you with a solid offer." So what would happen is I'd tell people after, I'd say, if people ask me the $1 million question, I'd give them the $1 million answer. And when I say that, what I mean is, once in a blue moon, and you've heard me say, inspect what you expect. Once in a blue moon, I'd get somebody on the phone, and they were smart enough to ask me, well, Mr. Brown or Dana, what is the property really worth? And surprisingly enough, when they'd ask me that, I'd say, well, since you asked the question, I'm going to tell you the answer. Obviously, I'm not going to pay retail. I'm an investor, so I can't make any money if I pay retail, because I need to resell it, make some money. They understand that. So I'd say, for instance, if the property is worth $20,000, I'd say, well, ma'am, since you asked the question, your property is worth about 20 grand. If you sell me a property, I'm probably going to put it on the market for 19,000. I'm going to give it to a realtor. They're going to charge me a certain fee to sell the property, usually 8 to 10%. I'm going to have to pay closing on the property, and then I'm going to resell it again. So, I have costs that I incurred doing this whole process, and they're listening. They're not saying much. And what I would say to them, well, if you would like, ma'am, since you asked the question, I'm offering you 5 or 7, 6 grand for the property. And since you were smart enough to inspect what you expect, if you would like, I can give you the realtor's number, and then you can go ahead and just deal with her direct. She'd be happy to list it for you. She's going to charge you 10%. And this way you can make a little more money on the sale than you would through me. Because I respected the fact that you asked, because surprisingly enough, most people never ask. They get a letter from me, and they're interested in selling. They call back. They don't call any realtors. They don't ask any questions. And we make a deal, and I buy the property and sell it for a good return. And when I tell you the truth, this is no lie. Every time anybody's ever asked me what the value was of the property, and I've told them in the past, their answer was pretty much the same. Well, Dana, you seem so honest, and I really appreciate you giving me that information, and I really don't want the property anymore, so I'm still going to sell it to you. And it's almost unbelievable that this happens, and it's happened many times. And the reason I say that, I think about this whole thing, and as I try to teach everybody, I want them to have as much confidence as they can. I want every deal to go as smooth as I can for you, that they can for you guys. I want you to win everyone big. I want you to do well, and I want you to start out getting comfortable, knowing this works, and it's applicable for you, whether it's part-time, full-time, just trying to get a property for the future, however it may be. But I think really important is to try to stick with answering the calls. If you have a full-time job, it may be a little difficult, but when you can and you have the opportunity to, try to structure your business when you're soliciting to people, you have people calling you through a website, however it may be. Stay away from the emails if you can, my opinion. Try to get phone numbers, and when they call you, don't delegate it to an answering service, because don't forget, people in answering service, they're wonderful, a lot of them, but it's not their business. They haven't got a personal invested interest in it. And it's typically like, hello, this is so-and-so, how can I help you? And they're reading off a script. So there's really no rapport being built up. They're basically doing this 1,000 times a day for whatever company they're working for. They're getting paid by the hour. So you're not going to typically get a lot of personality out of that person. And I told you that story only because I think I pretty much stick to that rule of thumb, only because I could do it the other way. Like I said earlier, one of the other lessons, I have a full-time job. I did the real estate for a while full-time a few years back. And at this point, I have a wonderful business, wonderful clients in the community I live in. So I have full-time work, but because it's my own business, I'm privileged that I can have my phone with me and I can answer a phone and walk away from the job wherever I am, walk outside, and go to my vehicle and take the call. And I would prefer to do it that way. Some days I'm inundated with calls when I'm soliciting, trying to find motivated sellers. And sometimes it's inconvenient. If I haven't got the time to answer the phone, what I'll typically do is let it ring through. As soon as I take a break, I'll go back to the truck or get outside, and I'll look the number up and take a minute, compose myself, and give them a call back. Because I think at the end of the day, these people don't know me. I don't know them. This whole thing's a surprise to them. Somebody comes along, sends them a letter, or however it may be that I'm soliciting them. So when they call me, I want to make sure that they're as comfortable as possible. They don't feel like it's a scam, which a lot of people do. And they understand that, no, I'm a regular guy, and I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm as honest as the day is long. I tell them I'm an investor. I'm looking to buy some property in that particular area that you have property. When I call them back and give them the price, I tell them the reason that price is that is because I am an investor and I need to make some money off the deal. And I just think at the end of the day, it works out much better. I've even had circumstances more than once, and not a couple of times. Last year it happened. Same thing. I talked to the people for a few minutes. We actually got off subject, talked about some other things, their family, or how long I've been where I am and where they live and their community, and I've been there possibly. We talk about that, and it's a fun conversation, and I enjoy speaking to people in general. I really do. I like talking to people, and on the phone it's a lot of fun. And what happens is, I've had it happen more than once. These people actually may not be interested at the time, and I always leave with, listen, ma'am or sir, if you're not interested, that's fine. I'm not going to try to hard sell you. I'm going to talk to a lot of people. I'll probably buy a few in that particular area that you own property. But if you're ever interested in the future, keep my number, give me a holler. If I don't answer, I leave a message. I'll be happy to call you back when I have a moment. And it's not a commitment. I mean, I don't want to hard sell you, like I say, and I want you comfortable. I want you to make a decision that's comfortable for you. If it's something that you need the money, then feel free to call me back anytime. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be buying property for a while. And it works out well that way. And at the end of the day, for me, I'm much happier with myself. And I'm not coming home having spent a lot of money to send out postcards or send out letters with contracts to people, and then wondering if I had missed any. If I missed some opportunity because I had a service doing that, performing the answering for me, if they were doing it professionally, if they answered the phone. Typically, I require any business I run that you answer the phone within 3 rings if you can help it, because I just think that's good business. And going back to one-on-one, the personal connection, I'll reiterate, I just think it's super important. So as you guys get involved in investing, I can't stress this enough. My advice is, and you can do whatever you want. I mean, if you have a full-time job and you can't do it, at the end of the day, it's a numbers game, and it is a numbers game. So you might be okay with just going ahead and hiring a good service. Make sure it's a good service. Typically, you want to make sure that they're in country, because I think nowadays that, if you have somebody that's in the States, the communication's a little better. I think the trust is built up a little more, rather than thinking, who are these people? They got somebody outside the country answering the calls, and where are these people from? Are they legit? And so on and so on. So think about that going forward, and that's pretty much it for the day. That's what I just came to mind the other day, and I just wanted to kind of mention it because I want to make sure you guys are on the right track with everything you approach with this, every tool you have in your box. And that's the way I do business. And I think over time, and even if you're not super personable, it's like anything. It takes practice. I mean, this whole thing for me, doing these classes and being in front of a camera and doing the videos and audios, very uncomfortable for me at first. And I hope that I'm doing a good job for you guys. I'm trying to get better at it. It's not easy, though. But it's the same thing with taking calls from strangers that you don't know. But remember, at the end of the day, this is your business. You want to make sure if you spent money to try to get motivated sellers, that everyone that calls, it's a potential seller, whether it's today or they may call back in a year, that you can make the connection. I'll tell you a quick story before I let you go. I was on a job with one of my guys the other day doing my regular day job, and I had sent out some mailers about 2 years ago. And as a matter of fact, the lady called me. She called me about one of the mailers she had, and she says, "Is this so-and-so?" I said, "Yes, it is." "Oh, I'm so glad I got a hold of you." She says, "In a bad situation. I have a contract in front of me from some guy, and he's offering me nothing for the property, and he didn't leave a phone number, or I guess he left a number. She had called, left messages. He never called her back. She was so grateful I answered. Long story short, we talked for about 15 minutes. She was having tough times, and I think her property is probably worth between 10 and 12,000. I would say probably closer to 12 retail today. And I said, "If you don't mind me asking, what did he offer you, ma'am?" And her name was Jane. And she said, "He's offering me like $1,500. And I said, "Well, that's typical what most investors, they're trying to get as cheap as they can." She said, "Oh, I understand." She goes, but I need a little more money. And I said, "What kind of money are you looking for?" And I guess she's got in some tax problems back home where she lives. She lives in upstate Pennsylvania. And I said, "Well, maybe I can help you. I mean, help me out. What kind of number are you looking for the property?" And she said, "I need to have $3,400 for the property." And what I was typically buying 2 years ago, I was buying about 3,000, and they're worth about 12 grand. So I think I was at like 25% of the retail value. So I thought about it for me. I said, "You know something, Jane? It's you sound like a real lovely lady, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'll do it for $3,400." And you never know when you talk to people, because you get a lot of yeses, and people are funny. Things happen. 1 minute they're excited about selling, they're motivated for whatever reason. Then their life changes. They might come across the money. You never know. So, anyways, I told her, yeah, I'd do it for $3,400. When I got back to the office, I'd send her a contract, which I did. And actually, today it came in. She signed the contract. She sent it back in a return envelope I gave her. I'll be buying that property for $3,400. I'll be doing a self-close, and I'll do it myself. I'll hire my title company to do the title work. And she'll have her money in a couple weeks. I promised her one way or the other I'd get her money before Christmas. and that was really important for her. So, you know, I'm going to end the lesson with that. But once again, it was a personal connection. I think the reason I made the deal happen was because I did answer the phone. If I had left it to the message machine, I may not have heard back from her. So going forward, just kind of remember that, guys, because every tool you get in your box going forward in this business, I want you to use the tools. I teach you the tools for a reason, because it's stuff that I've experienced in the past. I'm going to have other lessons. I'm going to have one real soon coming up about five of the biggest mistakes I ever made. Some of the worst things I've done in real estate, made some serious mistakes, and I'm going to have that lesson only because I want you guys to hear it, remember it, and make sure it sticks, so that going forward you won't make those mistakes. Because I want all you guys to succeed. So that's my lesson for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you feel like it's worth sharing, please share. And if you haven't subscribed and you feel you'd like to, I'm going to be continually giving you guys great content. So please subscribe, and I promise I'll continue to put out some good videos and audios for you guys. But thanks for listening. Have a great day. Remember that lesson. Put that in your box. And be safe. Be kind. Don't be greedy. Be generous. And we'll talk soon. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Bye-bye.